let's tackle the B part. Once again, I'm going to sing it and play along on the banjo, and you're going to see the lyrics on the screen, and your job is to see if you can figure out which color on the lyrics corresponds to which chord, and we have the same 3 chords to choose from this time. Step back, yonder comes a bear, running down the road just as smart as he can tear. Jump back, daddy shot a bear, shot him in the eye, and he never touched a hair. So again, we start on the C, step back, step to the F major, back to the C, yonder comes to the G, bear, back to the C, running down to the F, road just as to the G, hard as he can to the C, tear. So C, F, C, G, C, F, G, C, and that again just repeats itself just like we did on the first in the first A part. Okay, so now I'm going to play that melody on the banjo, and again, as I do, you're going to get a diagram which will give you your clues for where you'll find this note. So only the positions marked with the orange dots are places on the fretboard where you'll find the melody, which sounds like this. Okay, now let's turn that into an arrangement like we did with the A part. So again, here, this first measure, we only have 3 of our 8 spaces filled. So let's do something similar before. Let's just keep a bum diddy rhythm here. So we'll keep a space in the melody after each of our downbeats. And we'll follow the first upbeat melody note with a thumb on the 5th. And then we have the last 3 spaces in our first measure open, so we'll just play a brush strum. And remember to finger the chords here so that when you play that strum, you're playing the right chord. So it sounds like this. All right, let's do the same thing with our next measure, only this time we want to make sure we're changing to our G chord. So that's going to sound like this. And now our next measure, we have a note on every down and upbeat. So keeping our bum diddy, we'll just put a thumb on the 5th on our 4th and 8th slots that are available. And now this next measure should look familiar, right? It's the same as our 4th measure of the A part. The 4th measure of the B part is the same thing. So if we want to keep things simple, we can again drop that 2nd note that occurs on the first offbeat, and then add a thumb on the 5th after that 3rd note, and then play a brush strum again after in that last part of the measure where we have 3 empty spaces. So that would sound like this. And again, we're strumming here, we're back on the C chord. So you want to make sure you're on that C chord when you strum so that it sounds harmonious. And once again, if you wanted to instead play that syncopated note where you're hammering onto that 4th fret, then that would sound like this. Again. And once again, the second part of the B part is the same as the first part, so we'll do the exact same thing. So our entire B part now sounds like this. So now let's do like we did with the A part and try to fill every available space that's not taken up by a melody note. with the tools and techniques that we have to do so. So again, in our first phrase, we'll just add a drop phone, the ones that are still open. For our second measure, we'll do the same thing. And notice there I'm dropping my thumb to the open third, which is not the adjacent string, but it's one above it. And that's because otherwise I'd just be duplicating that same note. Which you could do, but instead I'm getting this. It gives a little bit more variation. For our third measure here, we'll do the same thing. And again, we will add in that drop thumb on the second space, which is actually a melody note. So it'll sound like this. And the B part again, the next four measures just repeat that same thing. So our full B part sounds like this. Alright, so there you have it. So we deconstructed and reconstructed old Clawhammer arrangement for Old Molly Hare, and hopefully you kind of followed along with the process of how you can do this sort of thing and how you can do it for yourself. So we start by building our structural foundation, which is our chord progression and then our basic melody. And then once we have that, we can use the tools and techniques of Clawhammer Banjo to fill it all out. And that means basically taking the available spaces in the melody notes and deciding what we want to do with that, what kind of rhythm we want to create, which determines whether or not we decide to fill all the offbeats, and also whether or not we want to do anything with the melody, right? So here we pretty much kept the melody intact. But other things you might do would be to change the melody a bit, make a little bit of an improvisational decision on your own, where you might you wouldn't want to mess with the harmonic structure, so you're not going to change the chord progression. But if you might change the melody a bit, or you might do more syncopations, right? I showed you one syncopation, but you might do others. So now I'm just going to play that version that I played for the tune of the week, and you can kind of hear. So I'm just going to play that. So now I'll play that version and you can listen for those different elements, and hopefully all together this illustrates really that there's almost limitless possibility. Even with Clawhammer Banjo, which has its own restrictions, there's really almost a limitless number of things you can do, and a lot of these decisions that you make are going to be ultimately shaped by the kind of music you want to make, and the kind of music you want to make is going to be shaped by your listening experiences over the years and your playing experiences over the years. So that's why listening to a lot of this music is so important, because what happens is over time, as you listen to a lot of music and you play a lot of this music, you start developing your own preferences for how you want things to sound, which really means your own preferences for the types of decisions you'd make when fleshing out a song like this.
Well, old Molly Hare, what you doing there? Running through the cotton patch fast as I can tear. Well, old Molly Hare, what you doing there? Sitting on a butter dish picking out a hair. Jump back, died a shot a bear. Shot him in the eye and he never touched a hair. stretching out, jumping in the air. Well, oh, Molly Hare, what you doing there? Sitting on a butter dish, picking out a hair. Jump back, Daddy shot a bear, shot him in the eye, and he never touched a hair. Well, oh, Molly Hare, what you doing there? Running through the cotton patch fast as I can tear. Well, oh, Molly Hare, what you doing there? Sitting on the butter dish, picking out a hair. Jump back, Daddy shot a bear, shot him in the eye, and he never